Picture this. It's Friday night, the pub is buzzing, the air is thick with the sound of clinking glasses and laughter. The energy is palpable, almost electric. Laughter spills out onto the street, mingling with the distant hum of traffic. Everyone's got someone, everyone except you. You stand there feeling like an outsider looking in. You're scrolling through Instagram, a sea of smiling faces blurring into one. Each photo a snapshot of joy, of connection, of moments shared. But none of them are yours. And you feel it, that familiar pang of loneliness. It's a sharp gnawing feeling that settles in your chest. Sound familiar? You're not alone. This feeling is more common than you think. Loneliness, particularly among young women, is a rising epidemic. It's a silent struggle that many face, often hidden behind smiles and social media posts. It's the silent cry in a crowded room, the ache in your chest when you scroll through endless happy couples on Instagram. It's the feeling of being surrounded by people, yet feeling completely isolated. This isn't just a personal struggle. It's a societal issue that deserves our attention. We need to recognize it, talk about it, and understand it. We need to talk about it, understand it, and most importantly, find ways to combat it. This means creating spaces where people can connect genuinely, beyond the superficial layers of social media. Let's face it, we've all been there. That moment when you realize you're surrounded by people yet feel utterly alone. It's a universal experience, one that transcends age, gender, and background. It's time we shed light on this silent epidemic and find our way back to connection. By reaching out, by being present, and by fostering real, meaningful relationships, we can combat loneliness together. Let's make a change, one connection at a time. So, why are so many of us, especially young women, feeling so bloody lonely? It's a question that seems to be on everyone's mind these days. Loneliness isn't just a fleeting feeling. It's a pervasive sense of isolation that can affect every aspect of our lives. Well, there's no single answer, is there? It's a complex issue with many layers. We live in a world that's more connected than ever, yet somehow we feel more disconnected. It's a whole bloody mess of societal pressures, unrealistic expectations, and good old-fashioned fear. We're constantly told to strive for perfection in every area of our lives, from our careers to our personal relationships. We're bombarded with images of the perfect life, the high-flying career, the Instagrammable relationship, the flawless body. These images create a false sense of reality, making us believe that everyone else has it all figured out. It's enough to make anyone feel like they're falling short. We start to compare ourselves to these unrealistic standards and inevitably feel inadequate. And when we feel inadequate, we isolate ourselves. We withdraw from social interactions because we fear judgment and rejection. Then there's the pressure to be always on, to be constantly connected and available. It's exhausting, isn't it? The constant notifications, the endless stream of messages, it all adds up. It leaves us feeling like we're never truly present, never truly connecting. We're in a room full of people, yet we feel completely alone. We're juggling work, relationships, and trying to keep up appearances, all while battling this nagging feeling that we're not good enough. The pressure to be perfect is relentless. It's no wonder we're feeling lonely. The weight of these expectations can be crushing, leaving us feeling isolated and disconnected from the world around us. It's time to ditch the pressure cooker and embrace our perfectly imperfect selves. We need to remind ourselves that it's okay to be flawed, to have bad days, and to not have everything figured out. True connection comes from being authentic and vulnerable, not from presenting a curated version of ourselves. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, social media. It's supposed to connect us, right? But often it just makes us feel more alone. We scroll through curated feeds, comparing our messy realities to everyone else's highlight reels. It's like constantly comparing ourselves to the best versions of everyone else. No wonder we feel inadequate. And then there's the pressure to present a perfect online persona, to curate our lives for likes and validation. It's exhausting and, frankly, a bit soul-destroying. Don't get me wrong, social media can be great for connecting with friends and family. But it's about finding a balance, isn't it? Let's use it to build each other up, not tear each other down. Let's use it to connect authentically, not just present a filtered version of ourselves. Here's the thing about loneliness. It thrives in silence. The more we hide it, the more power it has over us. But here's the good news. You're not alone in feeling lonely. It's time to break the stigma. Let's start talking about loneliness openly and honestly. Let's normalize it. Let's create spaces where we can be vulnerable and support each other. Imagine a world where we can say, "I'm feeling lonely," without shame or judgment. A world where we can reach out and connect with others who understand. That's the world I want to live in. Remember, you're not weak for feeling lonely, you're human, and we all need connection. It's time to start asking for it. Section 5. The ripple effect. Loneliness impacts us all. This isn't just about individual feelings, love. Loneliness is a pervasive issue that touches every aspect of our lives. Loneliness has a ripple effect. It starts with one person feeling isolated, but it doesn't end there. It impacts our mental health, our physical well-being, and our society as a whole. When one person suffers, the effects can spread to those around them. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness can be as harmful to our health as smoking or obesity. It's not just a fleeting emotion, it's a serious health risk. It can lead to depression, anxiety, and even increase our risk of heart disease. The emotional pain of loneliness can manifest in physical symptoms, making it a silent but deadly condition. And when we're feeling isolated and disconnected, we're less likely to engage with our communities. This disconnection can create a cycle that's hard to break. We're less likely to reach out for help even when we need it the most. The fear of rejection or judgment can keep us from seeking the support we need, and less likely to contribute to society in a meaningful way. Our talents and abilities go unnoticed, and our potential remains untapped. Loneliness is a societal issue, and it requires a societal response. We can't solve this problem alone. We need to come together as a community. We need to create communities that foster connection, where everyone feels they belong. This means building spaces where people can come together and share their lives. Support systems that catch us when we fall, offering a safety net for those who are struggling. These systems can provide the emotional and practical help that people need, and a culture that values vulnerability and authenticity. When we can be our true selves without fear, we create a world where loneliness has no place. Section 6. Finding your tribe, building genuine connections. So how do we combat this loneliness epidemic? It starts with connection, with finding your people, your tribe. Join a club, volunteer, take a class, strike up a conversation with the barista. You never know where you'll find your people. And when you do find them, cherish them. Nurture those relationships. But it's not just about quantity, is it? It's about quality. It's about finding people who get you, who you can be your messy, imperfect self around, people who make you feel seen and heard. Remember, building genuine connections takes time and effort. It's about showing up, being vulnerable, and letting people in. Section 7. Self-love. The first step to combating loneliness. Here's a radical thought. You can't expect others to love and accept you if you don't love and accept yourself. Self-love isn't selfish, it's essential. Treat yourself with kindness and compassion. Celebrate your strengths, embrace your quirks, and forgive your flaws. You are worthy of love and belonging just as you are. Practice self-care, whatever that looks like for you. Whether it's a hot bath, a good book, or a walk in nature, make time for yourself. You deserve it. Remember, you are your own best friend, your own biggest cheerleader. Be kind to yourself. You're doing great. Section 8. Reaching out, you are not alone. If you're struggling with loneliness, please know that you are not alone. There are people who care, people who want to help. Reach out to a friend, a family member, a therapist, or a helpline. There is no shame in asking for help. Remember, you are not a burden. Your feelings are valid and you deserve support. It takes courage to reach out, but it's the first step towards healing and connection. There are also some fantastic organizations doing amazing work to combat loneliness. Do your research, find a group that resonates with you, and reach out. You've got this. Section 9. A brighter tomorrow, hope for a less lonely future. Look, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by it all. The loneliness, the pressure, the constant striving for connection. But I genuinely believe that a brighter future is possible. A future where we prioritize connection over competition, where we celebrate vulnerability and authenticity, and where no one feels alone. It starts with each of us. It starts with having honest conversations about loneliness, with challenging societal pressures, and with building a culture of empathy and support. So let's start talking. Let's start connecting. Let's build a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and loved. We're all in this together. And together we can overcome loneliness.